All right. Welcome to your reading. Thank you so much for your patience and for your amazing grace in really, not just knowing that the reading, would come when it, when able when I can't even fucking talk. This is a very really really great sign for the reading ahead. To know that the reading would come at the appropriate time. So, I have you. So I'm gonna share the screen as I do in the I go back. It depends. Sometimes I want my face shown. Sometimes I'm like, nah, I want to meditate and get my crystals. That's pretty much just. Actually, I'm gonna use this one today. It's pretty much just one crystal. I'm not like this one. Literally is just insane. Like what it does for me. I feel a huge connection with this one. And then I had this one on that is the sapphire that I've worn every day for the past 7 years. So yeah. And this one, I don't even know what the fuck it is, but it is, I think they're both very Uranus ones. So let's share screen. Let's not waste any time. I'm trying my best to keep my readings to 90 minutes. Struggle. Or around that time. But yeah. So. So. And this is all I'm gonna keep saying. So. The end. Okay. So we got a Scorpio, first house, rising, Venus rising in Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio 27. Shout out to you. Mean you have Sun trine, Sun exact. And my Mercury is exactly trine, meaning I have 28 degrees. You have 27.41. I have 28 degrees Pisces Sun and Mercury. So that is a really, really good sign for you taking in what I say. It's very, very good. Very, 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 very good. And even your moon is, I guess it's square my moon, but whatever. It's not about me and you, it's about you. So, first things first, what's good with a Scorpio Virgo? Well, first of all, and you have Mercury retrograde in Aries, interesting. So first of all, what's very important to point out is that your rising, which is the way you look, the way you act, the way you project yourself, is in the sign of Scorpio, right? And Venus, the sign of love. Or what am I talking about? Yo, do I start this reading all over? I need to message you because I'm only a few minutes in. I need to message you and tell you. Hold on 1 second. Where are you? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Hey, I'm doing your reading right now. I'm only a few minutes in. I was like, do I need to restart this because I made like a tiny mistake where I somehow thought Pisces was Scorpio, but I'm literally like 2 or 3 minutes in, and I didn't really say anything about Scorpio, but and this is actually going in the reading what I'm saying right now. But yeah, basically no, it's actually it's Pisces. So like kind of like the first 2 minutes I'm under the impression that's in Scorpio, but I don't make any I don't say anything about it. I don't know what my eyes are doing to me. But yeah, even on that's beautiful. We are born. Yeah, you're born on the same day as me. Oh yeah, we have the exact same birthday. Crazy. So that's beautiful. So you are really gonna take in this message. This is like going for the reading, and I'm just saying this now. But yeah, so sorry, the Scorpio stuff was off. That's not true. You're Scorpio, so you're born on a full moon, right before a full moon. That's crazy intense. Okay, back to the reading. So I'll say it. And yeah, that I literally was just recording that now, that went into the reading, but now I'm getting back to it. So yeah, okay. So okay, now you got that out of the way. Thank God I didn't go the whole reading. I really need to do something with the signs. I made that mistake with Aquarius and Gemini. You see how Aquarius you don't have any Gemini. Yeah. How easily these two can be confused if you're kind of like not. I need to mix up the colors for sure. Ugh. I'm gonna get off my chest right now that I'm pissed off because I have a rental car and very off topic, but I just need to say it with the energy out. You know, I already said it. I just need to remind myself for this reading. Basically, I got an Audi rental after I got my license, which was the craziest process. And I made one little fuck up. And I don't know. And I'm returning it Monday. I'm going to the US Thursday, and I don't know. I sent the guy a photo. I told him like I didn't even know that I cleaned anything. It's very minimal. There's not a dent. It's just like paint, but it's an Audi. And I'm just a little bit like pissed off and just praying that there's like an insurance and like everything just basically that it just doesn't cost me like the whole deposit, which was 800 euros because I made this little mistake. So it is all about letting go and surrender, which is going to be a theme of your chart. I can already say I love when I say like random stories like that. It like connects with the reading. It's so funny. But yeah. So I just need to get that off my chest. You know, it's in life. So this is related to your reading too. As I talk about like being born on a full moon with a Virgo moon in a Pisces sun, right? Is that in life, we need to let go of things, right? I'll go back to my face. We need to learn to so this is like kind of like with your sun, with your Pisces side and your Virgo side, which are opposite, but same energy but opposite. Is the lighting good? Yeah, it's good. So Pisces, right, is all about seeing like it's like seeing life as a big like seeing the zoomed out. Sag is more like that than Pisces. The Pisces has that Jupiterian quality, right? Go with the flow. The high vibe Pisces is just like able to really be so connected to the divine and see the meaning in everything. The meaning in the fact that this happened, right? Now the Virgo. So this is very interesting how I randomly brought that in, but it connects, right? The Virgo can get very worried about like these kind of little things, right? Like that, like this is like a very perfect example of like this split in your chart, right, between Virgo and Pisces, where the Virgo energy here is me thinking about like the here and now, the kind of like immediate future of the fact that I, like might have to pay. I will have to pay unless a miracle happens where they're insurance, where they're like it's not a big deal, um yeah, like hard-earned money, which sucks. It does. It definitely sucks. But so the Virgo, low vibe Virgo is like looking at that and allowing that to kind of like ruin your day and like and just seeing things like being very and just like it's also very, very critical of self. And Pisces is just like going with the flow. It's just like trusting God, trusting it, like trying to look at that event in this case, right? So in your life, any event, any circumstance, right? Family, whatever, and seeing the meaning in it. Like taking responsibility and being like, okay, this happened, but there's purpose in it. I need to be more careful, right? Um, you know, and yeah, I need to be more careful. And it could have you can even take it to a spiritual component. So um yeah, and then it's also a test of faith. I won't know till Monday, or maybe even like till later in the week, what it will be. Maybe it will be like, he'll be like, oh, don't worry, like, like you'll pay a little bit, but we have insurance and the warranty. So you're good. You never know. Maybe he's an honest guy. I was honest with him. Um, so yeah, but that's kind of the essence of what I was saying. So let's go back to the chart. Is that when you're born right before full moon, you know how the energy is, right? So full moons are great opportunities for you to manifest, specifically you, right? And because you were born right before a full moon, the energy of a full moon might feel like it might not feel as crazy as it does for everyone. Because it's something that you live with, right? Which is this opposition, these two sides of you, right? This one side that so really karmically what it's asking is, to find balance between Virgo and Pisces, right? What's the middle point? What's the middle ground where both mouths are fed? Um, I mean, first thing I would say just about like any Virgo Pisces is that they will be a deeply spiritual person, deeply, deeply spiritual. They have to understand what the high and low vibe of each sign is and do their best to manifest both of those. So let's start with your Virgo moon. So Virgo moon can be very OCD. It's in the 7th house, so you have to watch out for codependency in relationships. And as a Pisces Venus, you have to really watch out for kind of like fooling yourself in love. And there's also a lot of issues around self-esteem that you're in your Saturn return right now. So I highly recommend, instead of just getting the follow-up, I highly, highly recommend you to get the follow-up with the current astrology and Saturn return, which is just like a little mini add-on, right? And I do it for $270. Usually it's way, way more, but like probably around like 400, 450 if I was giving like the real price. And basically what that is, and it's what nearly everyone does, unless there's like a financial issue, nearly everyone does that. And you'll know after the reading if that's where you want to go, or if you want to just stick to the follow-up, which you've already paid for. But basically, the follow-up is an hour. I'm just saying this now instead of later. It's an hour where we talk about everything from the natal reading, right? We go over everything live on Zoom. I maybe already told you that, not sure. You already have that paid for. So regardless, like that's happening. Now, the whatchamacallit, the current astrology is basically the same session. So instead of having it be 1 hour and just about natal, we still do all the natal stuff. However, we shift into current astrology, which is like basically the chapter of the now. The natal chart you get done once in your life, you're good, or maybe you want different astrologers' takes on it, whatever. But with the current astrology, it's really giving you the energetic weather of the upcoming year. And that one usually takes 2 hours, sometimes a little bit more. So the combined session is like 3 hours, and it's really amazing. Everyone like there's what was the word I used? There's some kind of alignment that happens when we have those 3 hours together and we go over all your transits, your solar return, your progressions. So let me know in solar arc and more. There's a lot. I don't do what some astrologers do where they just like, have one reading for the solar return, one for the progressions. Like for me, it's like I give you everything, so there's really, it's like this cosmic alignment, I think is the word that I kind of said. Like it sounds cheesy, but like it is kind of representative of those readings. Anyways, I digress. So let me know if you want to add that one. I have a feeling you will, but up to you. Anyways, okay. So you are, really trying to become more, I guess, rooted in your spirituality in this lifetime. Let's see. Square. Okay. Got it. So Mercury. But there's some big thing around the throat chakra that I sense about speaking your truth. Right? And that's very, very common. But you have Mercury retrograde natally. So there's some past life stuff there. You know, about either like over or under speaking when it came, and over like just like something related to like the way you thought. And if you like underspoke or overspoke, let's say like you were like in a position where you needed to like have your voice be heard, but you didn't let it out. And because the South Node's in Cancer, right? South Node is like the past life tendency, but there's like lots of like been there, done that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just what comes really natural is to be that nurturer, but also that person that stays close to home. So in this life, as you know, with your chart and a Capricorn North Node, right? This is the North Node, and this is South Node. They're exactly opposite points. It's in that 11th house, it's really asking you to step out of your comfort zone. Like that's a big one for you, is stepping out of your comfort zone. Uniting with other like-minded souls who like it's really about individuality, right? Like really finding your true self and then uniting with other people that are like that. But also, it's really about being your own father, like metaphorically, like stepping up for yourself, getting out of like any kind of victim mentality, which is a low potential of a low Pisces vibe. I don't know if you saw the article I put out. If you didn't, go check it out. It's very recent. The high and low manifestation Pisces. I haven't done Virgo yet, but I will. And yeah, it's just very obvious to me that like you've been this spiritual, mystical, dreamy, caring, loving person in past lives. But because of that, and fifth house children, I feel like you the default mode, right? Which I'm not saying don't have kids, maybe you have kids, but the default mode is have kids and just have like a kind of typical life, right? um so what this is saying is I never want to say that a chart is telling someone not to have kids. It's not saying that at all, but it's saying that if you do or when you do or when if whatever, to really make sure that you've looked at yourself and your real goals, your real kind of ambitions in the scope of the outer world, career, this, that, and the third, what you can do for society, how you can help people, which is coming up a lot in your chart, and that you would be in a position where it wouldn't push that back, right? Um, Especially also when it comes to like finding like-minded people, whether it's through like you know, um, a group, like a spiritual group, um, spiritual friends, just people who think like you do. Now, I said think like you do, and I'm gonna get to your Mercury, right? It's unaspected, which I see so much with retrograde Mercury. It's so interesting. Um, right? It's unaspected, right? No, it's not. Why is it not telling me this? It's so annoying. It's totally squaring Uranus. Um, like what the heck? Is it like a 4-degree orb that my computer uses? Like what? But anyways, so this is a very contentious area in your chart, and you have an Aries Mercury at 11 degrees. So if we talk about degree theory, which I don't always talk about, but I felt compelled to there, that's the degree of Aquarius, of speaking out for the people, of humanitarianism. Um, you know, it's very idealistic and geared towards the life goal. So, having a retrograde Mercury, only like what, 15% or so of the population have that? Is it 10, 15, 10, 20, or 15? It's a low number, and of course they don't have the actual population. So let's just call it 15. Let me actually look. I think like some people say 20, some people say 8. Okay, percentage people with Mercury with natal. Okay, is it saying this? What percent? Okay, well, regardless, it's not that many. You know how often Mercury is in retrograde, so just think of like, okay, happens what, twice a year, twice or 3 times a year, I forget. Um, you know, like how many people are born during those spans. But yeah, so it really makes one kind of like it can make one overthinking things. And when you have the opposition, there can be this like constant balance between like, should I do this or should I do that? Should I be like this or should I be like that? Um, and you know, it comes, like I said, from you not stepping up enough in past life to your true purpose. And in this life, you really are meant to find purpose and find meaning. And that's why, you know, the opposition is meant to kind of highlight this, right? This disparity, these two sides of you. Okay, so it says, well, it's 3 times a year. Let's see. Where is it? Whatever. Let's just stick with the somewhere. I think it's like 10%. I don't know why I can't find it here. But you know, like it's not disadvantageous. It just means that you're very right brain, you know. So you lean more towards the arts, the esoteric. So maybe there is some difficulty. Where's your Chiron? Is it in? It's in Leo. So maybe there is some difficulty early on in connecting with other kids, right? But it's actually trining your Mercury, which is interesting. Or Chiron Mercury trine. Um, but it definitely deepens the consciousness. Makes someone like very, very sensible, like kind of poetic vibes. Um, and yeah, it just makes it can. But with a Virgo moon, this is what's worrying is that, you know, and probably around the Saturn return, aka now, you know, you're really getting through this. Virgo moons, you know, the moon, like it's kind of like how you live within yourself. It's your feminine side. It's to me the most important part of your chart. It's the, you know, the emotional need, like what you need to feel happy, to feel secure. So it's in the 7th house in Virgo, right? So it connects perfectly because Virgo moons are very, very emotionally analytical, and they'll sometimes prefer you know, logic over emotions. They won't allow themselves to look at emotions, and they can become very, very perfectionist um to their detriment, um to the point to where they are, and you have Jupiter like 10 degrees away, so it's like a conjunction that's far. Moon, it's like I'd give it the 10-degree one. So, but like still, it's not super strong. Vertex is right on there. Um, I've had a lot of vertex moon people, but really, what the whole point is that it's really about slowing down and seeing the mind, seeing how it works, you know, in motion. Um, so yeah, because like that's how you really get Mercury retrograde to work best for you, is when you're able to like lean into creative and understand that, like, because a lot of people that have that, they might score a little bit lower on standardized tests when they're younger, or school might have been a little bit more difficult because it's very Capricornian, and they're actually very intelligent, right? Um, it actually makes the thinking processes more acute, you know. But it's just like how you take in information that's different. Um, and there can be lots of like struggles or doubts when it comes to like lower confidence when it comes to like your feeling like you can like learn something or yeah. So there can be some self-doubt, second guessing and stuff like that. Um but yeah, it makes really deep thinkers. But also with, like I was saying, with the Virgo moon, there can be a tendency to repeat, like and just have all these interjects, right? That's why I always recommend my astrological counseling to people who want to take this to the deepest level. Because I have 2 masters in psychology, and I actually, a lot of my clients have been Virgo moons, interestingly enough, or Gemini, like Mercury moons. Um, an interject is a basically like a story, an unconscious story that you tell yourself about yourself that you might not be aware. Yes, it's unconscious, so you're oftentimes not aware of it. So understanding what the interjects are. For example, I'm not worthy of something, right? Or someone. Like, I am not worthy of love. I um I'm not smart. Um I'll never meet I like no one no one like I'll never meet someone who truly understands me. Like these are like like random ideas, right? So once you can really get in touch with those, that's when you start to fully integrate. And being born on a full moon is powerful. It's very karmic, and it's a symbol of an old soul. Another symbol of an old soul is being a goddamn Pisces, a rising sun and Venus. So in a Virgo moon, they're all very old soul energy. So it's not a surprise that you'd have this energy. Only one hard aspect in your whole chart. I mean, yeah, which is Pluto square Mars. Talk about it a little bit, but um, yeah, I guess like more with that is like um, yeah, it just makes you like very intuitive, like, and you definitely don't like very non-superficial, very deep. And they can kind of like live and really like have lots of communication within themselves. So it's super important, like your chart says, to and also like I said, like to not be a victim and to lean into what I'm telling. This astrology thing could be for you. I'm just saying. Um, so another thing about sun opposite moon is that it's often symbolic of like either a divorce between the parents or a very drastic difference in their worldview, right? To where like if you have to write down 3 sentences of like what your mom embedded in you and then what your father did, they'd be completely different, right? Oftentimes divorced. So that's that. Okay. But anyways, um yeah, so like the Mercury retrograde, it also makes someone like really like communicate like with very like from a very authentic place, Um but it takes time, to get in touch with like that level of authenticity. To really communicate fully, So, and that's what's needed to really feel good with yourself. Um, yeah, just super good for artistic talents because it definitely it gives like a necessity to include the emotional component when you're making decisions, right? Which is helpful when you have a Virgo moon, but then you have the Pisces, which you have more in Pisces and Aquarius, super creative energy. We'll get to that. Also, it's it's someone who has a good sense of humor usually, and yeah, but overall karmically it's like it's like I said, squares your nose. So it's like there's a skip step in your soul's evolution around around integration of the higher and the lower mind. um and basically what can happen is that yeah, there's like something with the mental life of the individual is an unresolved skip step. And a lot of times it's overly rigid thinking, restless curiosity that lacks discrimination is another potential. or lacks discrimination as to the kind of material the mind is taking on board. So just thinking very rigidly, like very like kind of like how I was telling you about the car. Like imagine if I was just obsessing about the car. That's all I could think about, and the next day it's something else. That kind of energy, right? Or just taking in information that's very like not like being very conditioned, very traditional. Let's say you're very, very traditional, do things by the book, that kind of vibe. And that's why you have the chart you have, which is very non like that. Your soul's like it's time to get intergalactic. So yeah, I feel that energy heavy with you, like this, it's like many lifetimes to prepare, like really like lots of preparation, like you're like this is a big shift, a big movement forward. But you are also a very old soul, so it's not like like on that level, but it's a very important incarnation. Um, yeah, so it goes back, like I said, the critical nature that can undermine the strength of the personality, interjects, as I said before, internalized guilt, um, like internalized shame. So yeah, very important. And there can also be issues, karmic issues with the siblings potentially. And then just like any kind of like communication issues, right? Like for example, like trusting other people's opinions, being like a compulsive liar. Um, so things like that. Yeah. Like or like conflicting views in past lives that you had, what am I trying to say? Like conflicting views as to, like the nature of the universal truth could have had like really profoundly difficult consequences in past lives. That's another potential. So yeah. Um, but then you have these really, really beautiful talents, like karmic, like artistic talents. So back to like the opposition, and I'll go face cam a little bit. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? You know, with the opposition of first and seventh. So first we're talking about the houses, right? So that's Aries, Libra, right? First house is Aries, seventh house is Libra. So that is speaking to a need to balance out, like like um basically. And by the way, it's not like such, this aspect is separated by 10 degrees, so it's not like a smack on, but like like I said, the time before full moon for me is like the most intense time. So I think that shows up in natal charts, um from my experience with clients. There's this real kind of intensity, and it's real, like especially when young, right? Like this real, and what happens to a lot of these people is that they they choose one, like they, like for you, like they choose Pisces or Virgo, and then they just ignore the other one. So it's about feeding both mouths, right? My brother has the same thing with Capricorn and Cancer. But as I was saying, so with the seventh and first, that energy is about not being too codependent to where like you're in relationships, like everything is about that person. You can't be happy without relationships, this, that, and the third. And you have your Venus in Pisces, right? Which is literally a warning. It's a beautiful Venus sign, don't get me wrong, but it's square Pluto. Um, and we will talk about that, but not quite yet. But like what I'll say about that is that definitely gives the rose-colored glasses in love, the whole Disney kind of thing where maybe no one's ever good enough, or you see people just for their potential as opposed to who they are in that area of life. So yeah, with sun opposite moon, I mean, I would say like the two most important aspects in all of astrology are sun conjunct moon and sun opposite moon. Being born on a new moon or a full moon. Right? It's the two most important planets, so it would make sense that this would be super important, right? So, because like life, like I always talk about like the relationship between the sun and the moon. So, basically, basically, um, it. I want to preface it with some good things that it creates a very, very competitive person who goes through a lot early on, but has this like real, just like especially now, Saturn return time where it's really paying off, But you might not feel this until like a year from now, like or like have the perspective because it's not over yet. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, it makes your life all about polarities, extremes, right? And how to understand them. So it's like having two personalities, right? Trust me, I have this, right? I have my fire side and my Pisces side. And it's just like it's this feeling that can feel like you're fighting against yourself. You have one side that is Pisces that wants deep spirituality, compassion, that wants to sit around and kind of meditate all day. And that's way more go with the flow, easy going. And by the way, the fact that it's mutable, like mutable is Pisces, Virgo, Sag, Venus, it's easier, right? Than if it was like fixed, like Leo, Aquarius, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's like it's really it pushes one towards lots of questioning, inner investigation, right? Really looking using the Virgo moon, which is like an emotional need to kind of sometimes one of the difficult parts and why there's so many people that have like anxiety disorders that have moon and Virgos because they always feel like they need to control everything sometimes, right? So the Pisces though is the opposite. It's like completely about letting go and letting the universe kind of guide you. So that's like what one of the great ways to have this energy is to work with this energy. But yeah, you can kind of see your inner nature through what you provoke in other people, like reactions, right? Um, so yeah. Um, and it's really like difficult when young. Lots of overthinking, but like with age, you're balancing out these two parts of yourself and you're understanding, you're giving um a it's like a negotiation, right? A compromise, right? Where and one of the best ways to work with it, like if you were like if you were like doing astrological therapy with me, right? What I would do is I would do parts work, where I would have you create a identity for the Pisces side, right? It would have a name, perhaps it would have a color, it would have we'd be able to kind of like understand it, and then there'd be one for the Virgo side. And there's this thing in psychology called splitting, which is basically when you are not going towards wholeness. And in this case, you're only going towards one of these sides, right? So, yeah, like that's something you can do on your own. But, um, yeah, it's just, yeah, lots of dualities, and extremes tend to happen with this. Like, yeah. What else can I say about it? But like it is mutable, so it's like it's it's really about just changing, like really, really like going with the flow and kind of going with these like impulses to change your life. And what else can I say about this? I have so much to say, but I'm like, I can't think of anything. Yeah. Mm, yeah, I mean, there's definitely that whole yin yang kind of energy, right? Um, Intention that's created out of it. You know, it's like the getting to know both parts, right? So, so definitely like, you know, like I said, change oriented, but it can make someone very indecisive, right? Um, like indecisive when it comes to like life purpose and what direction you want to go. And there can be like this kind of balancing contradiction and, you know, fluctuating between like that kind of like I was saying before, like this single like the like minded independence of Aries, right, of first house, and then like the need for that deep partnership of Libra. So it's really about finding the middle in that realm. And with Pisces and Virgo, it's about finding the middle ground between having a life of structure, because the Virgo moon needs structure. You know, they need a healthy, balanced routine. And then they also, on top of that, need to feel physically, psychologically, spiritually rooted in themselves each day. Um, and they can be very big neat freaks, right? Like people who need things this way. So it's about not being like too much like that, understanding like and very perfectionist. So like perfect, like say like let's say like an example of meditation. Let's say you start meditating. You 10 days where you do it perfectly. You add 2 minutes to your time each day, each day, each day, each day. Then day 11 comes and you just whatever for whatever reason you just don't do it or you just can't do it. A lot, and this is an example that I'm giving because like I literally like called it out to like a very Virgo client not too long ago, like probably a week or two ago. And I was like, let me guess, on day, like you meditate for 10 days, and then on like the 11th day, something happened where you can do it, and then you just stop doing it. She's like, yep, that's literally like nearly exactly what happened. It's kind of weird that you do that. Maybe not exactly that amount of time, but yeah, after that, I just stopped. So it's getting past that perfectionism. So it goes back to my story, you see? Because like the Virgo side could be the side that's like just stuck. You know, it can make one very stuck in the anxiety of the day. Because there's always anxiety, you know? The Pisces is so hear me out here. So that's kind of that. The Pisces though is like, and you always want to learn from your opposite sign. That's what this whole dichotomy is, right? The Pisces is so go with the flow that sometimes it's too go with the flow, right? It's like the person who just is like, yeah, things will work out, and then they can be lazy, and then they can not put, you know, as much work as they need to into what they need to be successful. They just trust that their good nature will make it so everything works out fine. They can be very escapist, right? Not, you know, finding different ways to kind of not deal with reality. Um, you know, victim mentality. It's not my fault. Like, so it's really about finding the balance and you know, and understanding that it is difficult, but and there's confusion that comes from it. But yeah, learning to like really love that change and variety that the mutable full moon energy brings, right? But it can make you also become really easily scattered and lose track of what you truly want. Um, so like really like what you're learning to become in life, which is like your sun sign, which is Pisces, which is the spiritual teacher, the spiritual person, the person in touch with the divine, who is compassionate. I don't need to go all into your sun sign. You know about Pisces, right? You know how he is. So yeah, it's like, yeah, what you're becoming in life, your identity needs to blend with your like instinctive reactions, the moon, right? And what, you know, what makes you happy, this, that, and the third. So it's like the head and the heart are not on the same page, right? But they, one second, hold on. So where was I? What was I saying? Some of the, I was talking about the heart, head and the heart. And yeah. So yeah, the head and the heart are not on the same page and like to approach things from, you know, opposite points of view. So they can also just give you this real ability to kind of see extremes and go and bounce back from one extreme to the next until you can find that balance. So back to Pisces Virgo, you know, this is about Pisces not being too Pisces to where you're just like escapist, dreamy, like just like especially in love, like you know, the Virgo is all about now like analyzing, being analytical, using that analytical ability, right? Very important. Um, Mixed with that faith and with that compassion and with that intuition, trusting. You have a very strong intuition, my friend. And it's very important that you know that. Very important. And you're an extremely artistic person, whether you know it or not, like you are. And this is when I say whether you know or not, well, guess what? Chiron, which represents your wound, is in Leo, the sign of self-expression. So that a lot of times points to someone who may have not felt like they could really express themselves as a kid, in terms of like their creativity, or just being a kid in general. And yeah, like there can be like feelings of inadequacy, like being overly serious. So also sometimes it's in, yeah, there can be some kind of issues with like childbearing sometimes. Not necessarily, but yeah. Um, but overall, it's like energy of someone who, because Pisces is very much about like I imagine you went through like a massive like what's it called, issue with your image, like a identity crisis. Who the fuck am I? That's Pisces, right? Like, what do I want to be? It's so confusing. But that energy is what pushed you into trying this, trying this, trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that. You know? And now you find me. I don't know if this is your first reading, but I'm telling you all this stuff. And you're just probably like, if this is your first reading, you're like, God damn, there's a language for how I've been feeling. Um, yeah. And then Chiron in 6 is someone who is a healer, like, you know, who could be meant to be a healer and have that as their job. And but if not, like they're really trying to find self-healing and have that in their routine and like something that they implement on a daily basis. And maybe teaching. But yeah, it's really about reclaiming your creativity, reclaiming your authentic self. So yeah. So more about the, yeah, so blending like Pisces with Virgo, yeah. So the best version of that is the artist, the person that's found their creative outlet. Hopefully that somehow, hopefully they've linked it to their work. It's not a necessity, but that'd be like the best. And they're using that organizational ability of the Virgo moon, but not perfectionist. Like they're able to kind of be like, all right, even on that 11th day, I didn't finish that story, did I? Yeah, so well, I did. Actually, I did. Yeah, on day 12 to be able to get back on the horse. My brother, he's trying to quit tobacco right now, right? and he keeps fucking up. And he has a lot of of Capricorn, Virgo. He's a Cancer, Sun, Capricorn, Moon, Virgo, Mars, Taurus, rising. So he's got all that Earth, right? And he has a tendency when he tries to quit something, like when he has a streak, he goes through this horrible time, and then he just fails, and then he just gives up. And then I'm telling him, like, look, it's not about the failure. It's about seeing the failure as a blessing and getting back on the horse, getting back on the horse and knowing that life is just like with my car thing, like life is not just like this. Like, it sucks the thought that, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of my readings like this, plus follow-ups, might go towards paying for this stupid fuck up, It's not even like minor or major, it's very minor. It sucks. It truly sucks. But at the same time, I see the big picture. I'm just like, it happened. I was honest. We'll see what happens. So yeah, finding that synthesis between the two through self-awareness, right? And not favoring one over the other. So that's very important to really, really bring light to, the two of them. So yeah, differentiating between your individual will and identity and your emotional needs. And it's all about self-compromise. Super interesting. But yeah, it can also bring relationship conflicts, obviously. Um with, like, social intimate partnerships, but also, like, to your ability to adjust to the demands of the external world. So the Pisces wants to chill and meditate and be inside, and the Virgo wants to get to work, right? And then there's that inner tension um associated with that conflict between the conscious, like, ego, and the unconscious mind, feelings, emotions, whatever. So yeah, and understand the houses obviously is very important, as we talked about with 7th and 1st. So yeah, like, it's really important for you to, there's more Pisces than Virgo, though, so because of the Venus and the ascendant. So it's really important for you to take your imagination. Here it is. Ready? Your dreams, your imagination, to be able, like, literally vlog yourself, film yourself. Don't show anybody. Try it. It's a hack. It's a life hack. Neptune rules video cameras. And just do, like, a daily vlog where you talk about your emotions. Don't show anyone. Do it in your car, like, do it somewhere if you live alone, like that, just do it, and you'll see how much that will help you. But yeah, yeah. What else can I say? I was gonna say something important. Yeah. So like, really, ultimately, yeah, it's about taking your imagination, um, your dreams, your intuition, all that stuff, and just superposing it into your outer personality, into everything you do for your life. And then having that Virgo moon be the part of you that is the slave, the worker that organizes your spirituality, right? Because Virgo is a very spiritual sign. You've got cosmic magic, right? Pisces, earth magic, Virgo. You have both. So, like, finding spirituality is, like, the best thing. You'll be very naturally gifted in it. So I think I said enough about that. So then Pisces rising with Venus rising, that just gives, like, a very, very smooth and calm demeanor. Let's go back to share screen for a little bit. That's a beautiful aspect. Venus rising, very good karmic, very good karma, very good karma. Good karmic aspect indicates someone with good karma. I mean, someone who can, who's usually very beautiful in this Venusian way, like this very like smiley, just like it brings light to people, and it's in Pisces, so most likely gorgeous eyes that just you know are very mysterious but very welcoming. And you add Venus, yeah, like just in general, there can be some level of shyness and some difficulty with understanding who you are and why you're here and your purpose, right? I said that before. Now, another thing that's difficult with Pisces ascendant is that they're chameleons, right? They are literally chameleons. They blend in. Come on, Mika. No, Mika, go ahead. So they blend in with their surroundings, right? They just naturally blend in. So it's very important. What can happen is that they can really lack like a huge thing for you, boundaries. There can be this massive lack of boundaries. Boundaries being, you know, like you're so compassionate that you might be too compassionate. You might let this person in, right? That doesn't deserve it. And you might be prone to what I call energy vampires, what's referred to as energy vampires, which are people who they sense like these empaths, right? Like you're an empath naturally, right? They sense them and they I don't want to say attack them, but yeah, I mean they definitely like it's very common for them to get in relationships and for them to just like abuse the good nature of the empath. So that's another big life purpose, life mission type thing is, how can one keep, their sense of self, right? How can one keep their sense of self? And how can one keep their sense of self safe? And how can one, not give in to the issue with boundaries, and how can one keep firm boundaries? So it goes towards knowing yourself, right? And knowing who you are and who you are not, which astrology helps so much with. And knowing that there's a tendency who like to list like there could be like idolizing the wrong person, for example, is potential, right? Mostly when young, but um you're blessed with this immense intuition and this very beautiful like Pisces first house energy, but it wants you to do something with the Pisces, right? It's about action, which Pisces isn't very good at. But because the opposition, it pushes you into that space of doing, right? So this is significant, very significant. Um, Now, yeah, I mean, like the Venus, I already I kind of went into it, but I want like, and the Mercury, like, it's unaspected. So a lot of people unaspected Mercury by itself. They talk too much. They say whatever comes to mind. I would say Pisces rising makes someone shy, but the fact that it's retrograde, that pushes that away. It can make an overanalyzer. I've talked about that already, right? Um, where you're really trying to analyze how you want to come across in terms of your thought, like how you think, how you communicate, all these things, right? Um, like that's massive for you. Is like really like figuring that out, and that's a karmic like the karmic reason for someone who has that is that because in the past life, like I said before, the mental life, like something was wrong with the mental life. So, um, you know, it can be frustrating because you want to say all these things, but there can be this really harsh internal dialogue, which is why I mentioned the idea of astrological counseling. If you're interested, I have One slot left for that. And I sell them in packages of 6, 10, and 20. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, I already told you about the current astrology. So one thing at a time. But definitely do the current astrology unless it's like a financial thing or if you don't like this reading, which I highly doubt because I am feeling myself and just feel like I get this chart. Probably because of the same birthday. Like, how are you not going to get a reading from an astrologer the same birthday as you? Like, come on. Yeah, 2-year difference. You're 2 years younger than me, but whatever. All right. So, anyways, yeah. So the Mercury second house, like, just finding firm. 1 second. I just had some. Wait, do you still hear me? What was that noise? Hold on. Okay, I just had to pause reading for like 15 seconds because some YouTube video started playing in my background. Very, very good stuff. So okay, moving forward, yeah. So it's really about finding like it's very good for like having like very ingenious money making ideas, but it's like will you follow through on them, you know? And very quick thinking, intelligent, but also the way I see it is like the need through your thoughts to create this firm foundation for which you then like going back to the boundaries thing, like this is my rules, this is my thesis of life, this is what I abide by. And if someone like like enters does isn't right for that mission, then they won't be allowed in, or they'll be limited per se. So yeah. Okay. So then Mars and Aquarius in the 12th. Interesting. 22-degree Mars. We both have Mars and Aquarius. But you have a 22 degrees conjunct Saturn. Damn. So that's some major karma there too. And what else does it do? It squares Pluto. That's fucking crazy. Your Mars is a very, very difficult Mars. Mars is the planet of action, of assertiveness, the leftover animal instinct. So first of all, I'm gonna say is you need to work out. With that sun opposite moon, like already, but with that freaking like something that really gets you sweating, either a creative or a physical outlet, but definitely physical. Or there can be lots of frustration because these are both exact. Your Pluto's you have Pluto at 22 degrees on Serpentis. Dark energy, really, really dark energy, potential for very dark energy. Ooh la la. It's like you have to be spiritual, you have to dive deep in yourself, or there can be these really dark manifestations in your life. But wow, so 2 22-degree planets, Capricorn degree, that is about constraints and restrictions. Now, this is 0.35 square, exactly 90 degrees, right? So this is about control, right? Feeling very, it's about impulse control, the need for that. Even though you're a Pisces, so it's very interesting because it's like there's also Saturn involved. So we'll go into this. This is one of the aspects that attracts violence or that makes someone violent of every aspect in astrology. Sexual trauma is linked with this. So you really have to be careful. You really have to be careful, and you really have to understand that you need to trust your intuition because it's usually right. You're a Pisces Venus rising and sun and a Virgo moon. But the Virgo moon is that chit chat. So that's why you have to get that chit chat out of the way because it's hard to know what's the intuition and what's the chit chat. The chit chat is from the ego. It's the introjects, right? It's the things that once you get past, you can become like a master. We'll talk more about that. Remind me, and you're gonna have to remind me of everything I said in the follow-up, by the way. I don't remember shit. I do a reading. And there'll probably be like many readings I've done since then. I mean, I'll remember like obviously like, you know, when I see the chart, but you have to remind me because like I go deep and deep and deep into layers, and I'm gonna start telling clients like I need like you to like if there's an important quote, I need you to like write down that quote so I can speak on it to make the best out of this. Yeah, so just this is just like need for impulse control, learning to back off, and it just makes someone just super intense and volcanic. Mars and Pluto square, are you fucking kidding me? Like 12th house Mars on top of that, right? Because that can make someone feel as though their sense of personal power is somehow eroded, you know? So there can be lots of emotional outbursts by itself, out of the blue. It's like someone who just does something and there's like, why? And then later, like, why the fuck did I do that? You know? And there can be like a sense of, you know, loss of direction also, right? Not alcohol, by the way. You would see my face. Like, I never drink. Have I ever? Yeah, I've never drank alcohol. I barely drink, very rarely. But like, did I do a reading drunk ever? I think I tried once, and it was so shit. I just didn't like it. Like, it was just like I was just completely just like it sucked. I think I did it for like 10 or 15 minutes. I was like, this is just like I feel like I'm going through the motions. I don't feel any of the magic I usually feel. So yeah, random thing, interesting. I wonder if there are drunk astrologers. But yeah, so that's that. And then like the Aquarius Mars makes, and I have that too, it makes one unpredictable. It's also very genius, but um, you know, and very, very rebellious when angry. You know, very rebellious when angry, and very, yeah, very unpredictable. Very hard to know what makes like the Mars and Aquarius person tick. So, yeah, like that's fucking crazy shit. And then the fact that there's Saturn, which is 8 degrees in conjunction, you know, this is, you know, when you have Mars, Saturn, um, 1 second. Kevin. Okay, so Mars and Saturn conjunct in 12th. You just saw the cat. 1 and 3. Maybe you saw him. So that is difficult, and it's getting a lot better right now, right? Because you're in your Saturn return. But so that's another reason why I'm like, damn, you must be really like this is a very, very like just huge Saturn return. Um, massive, 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 massive. But you know, I mean, yeah, there's not, you know, I mean, because yeah, your North Node's in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So your North Node's ruled by Saturn. So in some ways, like your fears of the unknown can really hold you back, right? Now, the amount of famous and successful people that have Mars conjunct Saturn is endless. It's so much, but it makes the first 29 and a half years of life very, very difficult. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They're hard fucking workers. Virgo moon, hard organized worker, right? But yeah, like Saturn 12th can fear anything hidden. And it goes back to boundaries. Like so there could be, yes, some trauma around boundaries potentially, where the boundaries were threatened. So it actually it's very good for spirituality. But it's usually around this time that the 12th house Saturn person really leans into it, because there's like the serious examination of the hidden realms that can help people. There's lots of like random phobias that can appear with 12th house Saturn, right? And you definitely have Black Moon Lilith there too. So there's a huge need for spiritual protection. Huge need, right? And yeah, having all these malefics in the 12 is not good. But the best way to defeat it is by being of service. Now, being of service is very natural for a Pisces, right? Pull something up. It's very natural for a Pisces, and that is like just, it doesn't mean you have to like quit your job and do like but if your career could have like something, like psychology or something like similar to what I do, something that has compassion built into it, or just if you're like a lawyer or something like that and you love what you do, and that you know like to just make sure to spend some time and really get in your heart chakra and give back in some way. Yeah, but the 12th house Saturn is fucking hard, right? Especially when it's on your Mars. It's just like it makes people feel like I cannot do it. But now Saturn return, you come into a time and well, hopefully look at your Saturn return chart where that energy fades away, right? And then you're left. That's why there's so many successful people with this, is that they get fucked with for the first 30 years, but then it goes away and they're left with that determination. But yeah, lots of self-limitation with this one. It can make someone who's like afraid to dream, which is so massive for being a Pisces. And yeah, like someone, it can keep them away from like achieving their true inner wishes, right? Which is so important in your chart. And there could have been like some birth trauma. So like looking at that, like asking knowing if your mom experienced like any like big pressure in the womb. Yeah, like a traumatic birth is often is common, and it can lead to the person like subconsciously being very isolated from the world. Um, it's very weird. It's like they isolate themselves from the world in order to like recreate the more secure surroundings of being in the mother's body. It's crazy, right? But I've seen it over and over, and it's not by the ascendant. No. So what else can I say about it? Yeah, it's just like unconscious worries and guilt and holding on to guilt that's not yours, right? Like, and that's such a Pisces thing too, like feeling responsible in 12th house of Pisces for things that you should not, right? Blaming yourself for things like if your parents are divorced, blaming yourself for the divorce, right? Um, and then anxiety, depression that can come for random, like no apparent reason, right? Um, Also it can make self-expression um difficult, right? Um, where someone might not talk about their deeper thoughts to anyone and just suffer in solitude. So, and always wanting to like look good in other people's eyes, which being Venus rising, like you will, you're. I haven't looked at a photo of you. I always never look at any photos of any of my clients or anything, but I imagine you very beautiful. Very. And when I say beautiful, like attractive, Venus, it's like people feel very comfortable around you, and you like it just gives beauty. It just gives that energetic beauty, usually physical too. And really the best advice, because it creates lots of fear, is to just not take life too seriously, like with what I'm going through right now. Like fuck it. Like fear can be like the only wall standing between like someone and happiness, right? So just being honest about your life path. Do you really want to be happy, or do you want to be secluded? You do you really want to get rid of your fears? or are they just like a comfortable excuse to continuing this kind of life, right? So this kind of antisocial life, so it's not negative being someone who enjoys solitude. I myself enjoy it a lot, but experiencing like the burden that comes with it of self-martyrdom is not the wisest choice, let's just say, right? Experiencing you know that self-victimization and fear, or not fear, shame and guilt that's not yours, it's not it's like no. So the best advice is to have a sense of humor about life. Wear a smile on your face, even if things are hard. It's in your hands to change your reality moment by moment, every second, right? So like I was, it's so funny how I started that story. Like learning to accept, like, the small pleasures that life grants you each day. Um, and also learning to accept the difficulties that come, like just putting things into perspective, basically. Okay, where am I at time-wise? Oh, we're doing so good. Okay, then there's Moon Vertex. Oh shit, no. Okay, no, I was talking about Mars. Mika, stop! Don't break any of my shit. So Mars conjunct Saturn, yeah. Basically, it's pretty. I kind of said everything. Like, it gives strong determination. In the 12th house, though, like, yeah, just it's difficult, but um, it definitely gives a strong work ethic to kind of add to what I've already said. Um, Also, these two, it makes someone who can be sexually attractive, and active later in life, and yeah, it's an interesting one. There's some kind of taboo sexuality that can come with the Mars conjunct Saturn. Um, but psychologically, there's issues with expressing anger a lot of times with this, and that's a big Pisces Virgo thing too, right? Um, but like, I don't know. I've seen like some people with this in the 12th, and I haven't, that hasn't been something that's come up. But maybe with you and your Pisces, like passive aggression and just not being able to express anger can be difficult. Now you also have Black Moon Lilith in this house. So that means you need to have spiritual protection. You're very, very, like, it's very like like the evil eye, like things like that can really affect you. Like you're susceptible to spiritual attacks. So you really need to like figure out ways to protect yourself spiritually. Um, let's see, what else can I say? Yeah, just finding a positive outlet, um, some creative outlet, and of course the Mars square Pluto, like creative, just like it gets you more in touch with your shadow, but like really finding that physical outlet, because you can just like, a lot of people that have that, like I've seen a lot of people who become stoners because they just like kind of, well, you have no choice based on if you still live where you're born. Not really a choice there, I would imagine. But like, yeah, like that's one thing, but there's a need for an outlet either way for this Mars. So it's really coming down to that real passion in life. And even if it's a bit dark, right? Um, Whatever. Like finding that passion is like the ultimate thing for you. And it could be a very like kind of you know, a very very like individual. I need to come up with new words for individualistic, eccentric. I'm gonna look it up, thesaurus. Like specific. No. Yeah, unconventional is the one I'm looking for good synonyms for. Yeah, even if it's unconventional, whatever. Okay. Uncommon, out of the ordinary, atypical. That's not bad. Atypical, unorthodox, alternative, innovative, unprecedented, idiosyncratic. Maverick is a good one. Nonconformist is a good one. Whatever. Okay. I've said these are the ones I usually say anyways. So yeah, anyways, but yeah, Mars and Aquarius, it does create someone who thinks outside the box. So in the 12th house, like the highest expression, it's like another cat in, is through spirituality and really accessing the depths, of that. And being an Aquarius, there can be issues with friends. And it could come through that Mars square Pluto, right? Which there's that need to assert dominance, right? So it's about really letting go, just like learning to let go. And because of the Pisces, that might be this really big inner tension. So like learning that true power is felt within, like when someone comes at me on any like BS, like I never send it back, because I'm like, all right, you're creating your own karma. Like, I'm not going to participate in this. I'm going to take the higher ground. Like, people are like hanging a carrot for you, hoping that I don't know why I use carrot. Like like dangling something in front of your face and hoping that you bite it. It's like low hanging fruit. Is that the right word? Low hanging fruit. It's just like trying to get them to you to stoop down to their level. That's like where like I definitely watched that video I made about the neutral mind. I think it was like 1 or 2 IG lives ago. You'll know if you just go to my videos. Definitely watch that, especially yeah, like super important for like this. But yeah, there's temper tantrums with the Mars for Pluto also. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how this kind of like make sure we talk about this, how this anger, resentments, like destructive rage, outbursts. Like I wonder how this works with all your other more like peaceful energy. But yeah, it's definitely like super strong work ethic. Um, and sometimes it's like it's actually others who are throwing this energy on you. That's the thing. So that's the possibility where yeah, as I said earlier. Um, but yeah, it makes someone very powerful when they can integrate these two. And just the key is to stay like very focused on your aims, and resisting the urge to retaliate is the biggest. So finding that meditation, that ground, that neutral mind is literally like, okay, so let's see. Black and Lilith are, 12th house, as I said. Um, you know, that's kind of like escapist, like it's like your lowest potential vibration. You at your lowest vibration. Getting lost in the imaginary world, escaping, whether it's through substances or just not wanting to connect with reality, and maybe lacking self-discipline, which I don't see really in that many parts of your chart, but it's possible. Yeah, I see more of the escapist. And then Aquarius, I would say that um it's like about friends, so drama with friends, and maybe like being very perfectionist with them, and kind of projecting perfectionism onto them. But I feel a lightness in you, though. That's the thing. You could have gone, with astrology, like this is like your free will. I'm not fortune telling. This is like 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 you're 30. So like, what you experience, right? Like right now, like I would have said the exact same shit I'm saying right now 6 years ago. So maybe it would have, these are all like potentials. You could have manifested the highest energy of all these. Um, so that's why the follow up is so necessary. See where you're at. So yeah, just like it can make you feel like as I said earlier, like you really want to be parts of like groups, but you can feel like rejected from them. Um, and you can believe that it's others who are rejecting you, but a lot of times it's the opposite. And like there can be like imposing thought, your thoughts and feelings, um, and expecting people to agree with you, things like that. There can also be, something related to like just overall self-sabotage when it comes to friends. Um, yeah, overthinking, you know, things like that. So, okay, moving on. So yeah, Jupiter on the descendant, one of the best indicators for luck in romantic relationships. It's retrograde Venus or retrograde Jupiter, which is very good. Makes you a very deep philosophical thinker. So that's really, really, really nice. And I see that with clients often, and they always tell me it's not always like their love life is perfect, but they always tell me, yeah, like it's very common. It's like, like I definitely got like it's usually women who are like, yeah, I definitely got really, really, really lucky with if they're married, that is. If you're not married, then it could be future luck, but where they learn a lot through the relationships, and they kind of have that guardian angel in that area of life. And in Virgo, yeah, it's like seventh house is like expanding your overall life philosophy and attracting like spiritually inclined partners. So it's like very, very good, very good placement for love. And yeah, Jupiter and Virgo just gives one a strong desire to be of service, a strong desire to kind of dial in the routine, but then there's that whole perfectionism, obsession for detailed perfection. So remember, you must not be like a great white ball without any gray marks. You must allow the gray marks of imperfection to come in and still do your best. Maybe Monday it's 100 out of 100. Maybe Tuesday it's 80. Maybe next day it's 90. Just do your best and know that when you hit that 0 day, give yourself that day. That's the test for the Virgo energy. Is like I said earlier with my brother, how do you get up after that day 11? How do you get back on the horse? That's it. So then Moon and Vertex, it just makes woman in your life the catalyst for finding the emotional life you want. It could be like the mother, but it could also just be woman in general. And yeah, like basically it just makes fate a huge, huge, huge component of your life. Um well, Vertex, conjunct moon. What else besides that? Let me think. Yeah, just like being seen as like the nurturer to others as well as to yourself, which is like your north node, like which is your highest destiny, as I said, is in Capricorn. So you're trying to become your own spiritual metaphoric father in this lifetime. And oftentimes, you're expected to be like the heart of your family, helping others, like, like finding meaning in their life and whatnot. So that's big, and it just makes your life very, very faded, very, very important. Um, so besides that, um, you have Vesta there too, conjunct Moon. So you work very hard in your relationships. There's a big focus on that. You're dedicated to working on yourself and your role in those. Not just romantic relationships, like business partnerships. This time of house relationship, like one-on-one close relationships, right? Even enemies or open enemies, right? Um, yeah. And yeah, it just adds to this whole perfectionist streak, right? So yeah, just like the need to like avoid being overly critical. Um, yeah. So yeah. Um, so part of fortune in Virgo and seventh is literally just saying that when you're at the highest energy of Virgo, the whole thing I said about like being pure earth magic, but not perfectionist, having self-compassion, letting yourself flow, but also be organized. That's when your greatest joy is experienced, and also being of service. So moving forward, yeah, and your moon in Virgo rules your south node. So I mean that's significant because um it's very karmic, this Virgo energy, right? And it goes back to that Mercury which rules Virgo. Um so the ruler of the ruler of the south node's ruler has retrograde square the south node. It's literally saying that like you're really here to fix that thought process and to be more with God, really to be more with the divine. That's like the big key. So then yeah, Pluto ninth house, that's an interesting one. You have you this powerful drive to discover the higher meanings in life. You have to watch out for becoming like overly dogmatic in your philosophies and pushing them too much on other people. You can be obsessed. You can be obsessed with like travel, learning knowledge is great for people who just want to learn, but it's at a very hard degree. But it's a degree that can be transformed into something very spiritual and amazing. Also, lots of people have this. They have this real need to disattach from past life conditioning. They also have um, this tendency to not be born in the place or grown up in the place. Like they don't feel super connected a lot of times to where they grew up. I don't have this placement. God damn, do I feel that? And a lot of times they move around. And yeah, like I said, travel can become an obsession, and learning and higher wisdom. It can be a superpower there. Midheaven in Sag, you definitely want variety, and you want your career. It gives a very enthusiastic approach to career. Yeah, there could be something foreign related to your career, and there's definitely a level of you that wants to have your career be a conduit to your higher learning. You know, and it's ruled by Jupiter in seventh house, so maybe there is some kind of client, some kind of one-on-one, like if you're a psychologist or any there's so many professions that work one-on-one, that those are very very favored for you, but ones that like help you learn, and there could be like a career change, like potential for career change. um okay, we're getting towards the latter. So 11th house, so Ceres there, it's the kind of it's a very important asteroid. It's about nurturance, so it's in Capricorn. So yeah, it just makes someone who tends to like look after themselves um well, and they feel nurtured when they achieve their ambitions and when they're giving back to society, and they can be really good teachers to other people of self-discipline, how to achieve their goals, right? And in the 11th house, yeah, it just makes one just like a amazing nurturer within their friend groups, right? And yeah, just like someone who like likes to protect and be protected by their friends, and they really they need to feel very safe in their friend group, like they can completely express themselves, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. Your north node, right, the most important part, and then also Pallas is there too, conjunct your north node in the 11th house. Pallas, super, it's like the third eye. um so in Cap, that gives you this like real wisdom, ability to kind of structure your thoughts, and makes the mind cope very well with yeah, with plans, and being able to put things in their proper place. But then when in 11th house, it makes one very good with being able to work um with their visions that benefit humanity, right? The big, and just like any vision, like big picture, it takes like a lifetime to really fully construct, and makes one very adept in organizing and working with others. So it's very good for that. And yeah, it can give influential friends. And then, of course, as I was saying, Neptune and Uranus in 11th house is very, very obvious. Uranus in the 11th is all about having, eccentric, unusual, or the other words, whatever. Friends who are very true themselves. And, free spirited, alternative, um, maybe esoteric, just different, just people who are very, very individualistic, who found themselves, who are not conditioned at all. That's who you need to be with. It can also make one feel like they're the odd one out in groups, right? If they're in the wrong group. So it's really about being in groups, yeah, like where you feel really at peace. And yeah, and then there can also be this ability to this desire to want to liberate people, like to like kind of humanitarian level. And it's conjunct your no. And then then Neptune in the 11th, that's just like it's similar. It's like searching for very spiritual and humanitarian friendships, like really wanting like very healing people, very, 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 very yeah, kind of Piscean people, like compassionate people who embody compassion. So yeah, like people who you want to be like part of organizations where you feel like you can be of service with um those people. Okay, let's see if there's any stars that are important worth mentioning. So you're close, but not quite close enough to having, I mean, barely with your ascendant. If you were born just a little bit later, you'd have Fomalhaut, which is one of the four royal stars on your ascendant. It's 2 degrees away, so we definitely will still count it, especially since it's underneath it. And it just gives like great and lasting honors. Fomalhaut is really about like just the best. It's like the most artistic, like it's like divine inspiration through art, Um, and yeah, so on the ascendant, yeah, just really great. For spirituality, art, but the need to watch out for addiction. But it is definitely more than that about I just started hurting. Yeah, more than anything, it's a real star. So it gives some like some just this beautiful romantic energy and this ability to put into your arts, and it's close. It's conjunct Venus. That's huge. And this one's closer. This one's 1.2. So that is massive. So with Venus, that can actually give secret and passionate love affairs. But really at its core, it's the most artistic thing you can ever imagine. Seeing magic in everyday life, the dreamer, the person who can connect with the divine through their art. It is the most amazing thing to have Fomalhaut Venus. Like, come on. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So, moving forward, let's see, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Okay, so you have Amor conjunct Mercury. That's beautiful. Amor is asteroid about unconditional love. I love this asteroid. And to have Mercury, it means that through your speaking, which your Mercury also trines Chiron, remember. So you're able to heal people through your words and through your communication once you get through that yourself. Um, you can really portray and let out this unconditional love for all. Beautiful. Sometimes I feel like I'm training like people who are meant to be healers. I'm just like waking them up and they come to me, the real serious ones. I don't know. I just get this feeling. I don't know what it is. Getting a reading from me is like I don't want to say it's like next level, but it's like it's not like not everyone's ready for it. Okay, so then you have Fomalhaut on your IC. This is the luckiest star in all astrology with Regulus, and on your IC that would just I don't know what the fuck it would do honestly, but it's on an angle. IC is it's the least important, but it's still important. Um, um, did I say Fomalhaut? Aldebaran is what I should have said. Yeah, basically that would it typically would make someone come from money, typically, but you know it's tough to tell. I've never looked at it, you know, I see on that, but it definitely, you know, let's just say that lots of honor, good fortune, and just success in in home life and in your internal life and um childhood, all that stuff. Okay. So okay. Psyche on Jupiter, that makes the philosopher. And then we talk about that. No, what is this? No, wait. That's the wait, what? Oh, yeah, I talked about that. And what's this? So I'm just gonna like compile these all. So Serpent is conjunct Pluto. It's quite common. I mean, like Pluto is so slow that a lot, like, you know, I've had several clients that have it. It's just like, you know, just knowing that you can definitely manifest the lower energy. But look at you. You've got fucking 3 royal stars on angles. That shit's crazy. Because you have Antares on your midheaven. Damn. Because you got the midheaven I see on the Fomalhaut. Antares are opposite, pretty much. It's 939 and 941. So one's on your IC, one's on your midheaven. So Antares midheaven is very intense. But I'm holding these in my head. And I'm gonna like kind of see them all at the end. And then let's see. um. Mhm. 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 Ooh, and you have so I don't really know if like how I feel about North Node, you know, because it's not an actual planet conjunct asteroids, but Urania is the asteroid of astrology on your North Node. So if you would like to combine that, it could be like, you know, someone who's meant to be an astrologer, potentially, you know, just potentially. But I don't. I'm still very like undecided. I haven't gotten that intuitive like hit of like whether I believe in that yet. Um, so okay, let's talk about Antares, and then we'll be done. Or first, we can kind of like talk about Psyche and Jupiter's really quickly. Like it's very good for business. It's very good for for philosophy and just being a teacher of anything spiritual. Um, it just yeah, it's very very good. Just psychic energy, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, it just adds like that kind of like that inner knowing to that Jupiter that's already, you know, in a nice position. Um, on, you know, very nice position. So yeah, it's like yeah. Um yeah, psyche it's like where it's like where we feel at home. So you really feel at home when it comes to like travel, philosophy, learning, all that stuff, like expansion. Okay. Antares. Antares is one of the 4 row stars. So you have you're one of the first clients, if not the first client I've had that has 3 of the 4 on, you know, angles or important points. I have 2. Very interesting stuff. So Antares on the midheaven. This is a little bit more malevolent. However, it's very intense. It's very like cut to the core, very kind of like, but it does give lots of honor and good fortune when it comes to career. Um, you know, to like just there's lots of blocks that can come up. But it's like this very one sec. Obsessive, like getting to the bottom of things, intense energy. It's in Sag, but in sidereal, it's in Scorpio, and hate him or love him, if you want to know exactly what that energy is, Andrew Tate is a double Antares sun and moon. So yeah, controversial, but there is a level of polarity and truth to a lot of what he says, but then there's a lot of shit that's just kind of like, what the fuck, dude? But it's for show. But anyways, yeah, and also Pablo Escobar. That's Antares. He had Antares sun and midheaven conjunct. It's crazy shit. So it's like the king of the underworld. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, midheaven's career. So it's very, very interesting to have that. It can, yeah, but it's definitely very, very intelligent, broad-minded, but it can be, yeah, it can be malevolent and rash. So, but yeah, but it's also sometimes that's needed, like it was like Gandhi had it on his ascendant, right? Um, for example. So yeah, the royal star. Um, yeah, someone, and also it gives like lots of mental alertness and like a very strategic mind. Like like yeah, someone like who kind of plays life like they play chess, or plays life like it's a game of chess, like kind of Machiavellian um way about them, so it's very good for career, but you have to watch out for that square with Mars and Pluto. And it can make daredevils lots of courage. So beautiful. All right, that's it. Thank you. Beautiful reading. Thank you for your patience. It was a pleasure. 148, not too bad. So yeah, I will get this to you ASAP, and I'm gonna start another reading right now. All right.